well. So I will turn it over to Randy, and just thank you everyone for being here and sticking with us throughout the day.
Thank you, Danielle. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself fully and give some background on who I am and why I'm leading this workshop. So as you know, my name is Randy Braz. I'm the founder of Black Phoenix Management Group. So what it is, it's a subscription-based think tank where we source, vet, and develop ideas that we can invest in within our community. Primarily over the past 5 years, we've been focusing on purchasing real estate in distressed communities such as Detroit, and we're looking to expand into other cities like Baltimore, Philly, Cleveland, and cities like that. If I don't know where everybody's from, but if you're from New York, you know that about 20 years ago, Brooklyn wasn't the place that everybody wanted to be in like it is right now, and the prices were dirt cheap. And if we had all thought about it in advance, we could have all been millionaires by investing right where we're from. This year, we've also expanded into investing into businesses. And so I'm going to talk about and lead a workshop in leveraging our collective skills and talents to kind of build our own wealth within our community. So before I get started, I would like to just see who we have in the room and what their background is, what kind of skills they have, and that they can bring to a community if they were to be a part of such a group. So I'll just call out names and then you can go ahead. So Leah Holloway.
Leah, I believe if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Okay. So I'll come back to Leah. Linda, Joseph.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
And I'm so sorry.
No, I just wanted to get like your background, like your skill that you can provide to a community.
So I am by trade a guidance counselor, and I'm in education. I actually just started a nonprofit organization for mentoring young women of color, and the idea is that I just want to be able to place them with other women that look like them that are doing careers that they want to do. And so yeah, that's going to be launching in the spring. And I have a college rally happening tomorrow, and I just love working with our kids and trying my best to help them in any way.
No, definitely love it. So I'm gonna be sharing my information at the end of this workshop. So one thing I didn't mention is that not only do we invest in financial opportunities, but we also are heavily invested in our community and building our community up. We've done scholarships for young kids going to HBCUs. We've also done holiday events like around Christmas time where we work with foster care agencies, young mothers in shelters, and things of that nature. So Linda, definitely would love to have you reach out to me to discuss more about what your nonprofit is about. Veronica Bostic. Okay, so I'm going to give it about a minute, then we're going to move to the next person. And Veronica, if you're there, you can jump in anytime. Zethia P. If I'm saying it right.
You're on mute, Z.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you, Randy? Thank you for having everyone. You wanted to know what it is I provide to the community.
Your expertise, your background, like what you've been working in the past few years.
Okay, so I'm a registered nurse. I work with the developmentally disabled community, and I also provide home services to clients. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. So
definitely appreciate you. Thank you. Glory List.
Yeah, you can call me Glory. It's kind of complex to say, but I'm Glory. I am a social media manager at Phoenix TV. and on the side I do stand-up comedy. I think it's such an interesting question to ask what you can provide to the community, because I know that I have skill sets, but I guess they're kind of more internal, and sometimes I need to think about like what can I provide to a community. So I guess maybe I think through my comedy I try to heal people. So that's something that I try to offer.
Listen, let me tell everybody something. I've I've been doing this for 5 years, and like I said, we've been signing people up, and a lot of people feel like they might not know exactly what they have to offer, but living in your community and seeing what's going on and giving feedback on that is insightful and can help change things dramatically. So don't ever feel like you don't have something that is viable. Um, Bianca,
Hi, can you guys hear me?
yeah.
I'm Bianca. I currently work at Fuse. I manage the digital content, so I create content for the channel. I've been working in the media industry for, I guess, like the past 10 years. Before that, though, I worked at the YMCA, like right out of college, and some of my passions, what I did in my community, I actually moved to LA last year. But before, I'm from Jersey, living in Jersey, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would do a homeless initiative where I would collect donations and I would go out and feed the homeless, clothe the homeless, give them toiletries. I've done like sleep outs where I've like slept outside like as a homeless person in order to raise money and awareness to like homeless youth. So definitely helping the homeless community is a passion of mine. And also like in my field, I would always bring like on internships younger kids, and I really enjoy mentoring them. And what I would like to do is do an HBCU college tour for my hometown, because I'm a Hampton University graduate.
Okay, okay. Wow. Listen, so far there's some remarkable women in this room. Definitely loving the energy and vibe. We're gonna move to Tanine.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity. Where's the men? What's going on, Randy? Where's the guys?
Like I said, I'm loving the energy, so I'm fine with the room we have.
We'll talk about that later. So I'm Tanine, and a big part of my background is education. I'm an attendance teacher in New York City, and I started out doing payroll, budgets, human resource. So I've been the person who's been the connector, helping people to balance out their lives within the education system. And then I moved on to attendance. And attendance ties into a large part of my experience. I do volunteer work as a mentor manager throughout New York City, for teenage moms, for women in shelters, domestic violence, for the youth who are in, what do you call it, like adoption agencies, things of that nature. 2 years ago, I actually dealt with a population that was a little bit different. So I was mentoring boys who were incarcerated, but the judge would give them a program instead of incarceration. So they would come to my program in order not to do time and still stay in school. So a big part of my experience is dealing with the youth, which I love them. I love their energy. Um, that's during the day. I started a coaching practice because I'm also a writer and author. So my coaching practice actually picked up during COVID because I work from home. So I do group coaching, I do individual coaching, and it ranges from business coaching to personal coaching, spiritual coaching. But what I've learned is I started with the business coaching, like helping people to build their businesses, to get into just that leadership and entrepreneur role and just all the different things that it takes. But I realized that you can't separate the spiritual and the personal from the business. So it all comes together at some point. And I'm also a writing coach. So that's what I give to the community. I'm the connector. So I connect people with resources all the time. But I'm also helping people writing their books, sharing their stories, even just learning how to express energy and get it out, to help a balance with like their personal and mental health, just things that we go on. And a big part of my life is prayer. prayer, prayer, prayer. So
Okay.
that's the biggest thing that I give to the community out of all of that. Yeah.
That's Tanine. I definitely love it. And just the fact that you touched on something in terms of entrepreneurship. For me, I feel like, especially within our community, we've always created, but we've always let somebody else financially benefit from it. And for me, like when I started this company, my focus was making sure that whatever we are creating within our community, it's being built within our community. Because I mean, just the room here alone, we can probably start like several different businesses from the people who have spoken so far. And we'll touch on that as we grow, but definitely appreciate you. Thank you.
And Randy, I just want to see if now that Leah is back on, if your audio is working, if you would like to share. No,
Still can't.
I hear you.
Yeah, I don't hear her.
Okay, I
There we go.
tried.
There you
Leah,
go. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello? Yeah, we lost her.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move
Yes and no.
Okay, there we go. Leah?
You me? Oh, it's Leia, by the way, like Star Wars.
Oh, Leah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm so glad I'm on. That's it. That's my whole speech. I'm just kidding. So I'm a Syracuse alumni. I have 10 years of consulting experience, management consulting, Ernst & Young, KPMG, those type of guys. And then after that, I decided to get my MBA and go in a completely different direction into operations and logistics at warehouses. And currently, I'm working at the warehouse in Newark for Amazon, where I manage a warehouse.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm on.
Shanti? Shanti?
Hi, and I'm Shantae. No, it's okay. Look, phonetically, that's what it says, Shanti. So my name is Shantae. I have worked in social services for a number of years, well over 12, in doing adoption, facilitation, case planning, and healthcare integration, and mostly working with teens, children, and families. Um, Currently, I work for a hospital as a patient coordinator, and I have my own business, which I started this year in the middle of COVID, called that's around art and using art as a form of meditation. Um, and so that's where I'm at right now. So what I offer the community is one, services, much like Tanine, forgive me if I said your name wrong, a bit of a connector. I find services, I've been doing that with the families that I service, previously, connecting people to what they need, and trying to get them to the next level or to their best self, or what they feel is their best self. And so I kind of do that again with the art, but it's more of slowing people down, getting them to become more grounded, and centering themselves, and using art as a means of doing that.
Perfect. And I'm sorry, can you please tell me where you're based out of again?
I'm based out of Brooklyn.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And last but not least, Nakia?
Yes, hello. I'm sorry, I came on late, so I didn't hear the prompt. We're just introducing ourselves.
So yeah, so this is about leveraging community to build, right? So I just wanted to know what your skill or your expertise is.
Oh, okay. So my name is Nakia Williams. I'm also a Syracuse alumni.
Okay.
And I'm in Washington, D.C. I currently am a special education teacher, but my area of expertise is in foundational reading and literacy skills.
Okay.
So I'm currently trying to change into being a reading specialist. I want to become a certified reading specialist and not only do private tutoring for struggling readers, but also coaching educators and tutors in the science of reading and assessing and diagnosing reading difficulties.
Definitely can be utilized in our community heavy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So now that everybody has an idea of who's in the room and what kind of power we have as a collective, I want to spend the next 2 minutes. So just answer this question in the chat, and then what we're going to do is select which ones to work on as a collective and build from there, okay? So the question is, what are some of the financial issues that you see in our community? And so just answer that in the chat, and then we'll just select from there which ones to work on throughout this workshop. And if anybody needs me to ask the question again, please let me know. Okay, we got lots of coming in here. So I'm going to ask everybody to stop because I'm actually, all these are great, and I would love to try and run through these as much as possible. Let's start in the beginning. So Danielle, you have lack of funding.
Yes. I think when I put that in there, I was thinking more of like business owners.
And that's fine.
So yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind. It's just like lack of funding, even just knowing how to, continue to bring in enough customers so they can sustain business. Even when I'm talking about small business owners, even when you talk about, especially in New York real estate, so them not being able to even afford the commercial properties that they buy. So just that overall thing.
Okay, so let's address this, right? So as a group, like we all know what the issues are. What are some ideas that we can do to tackle this issue of lack of funding in our community? And just if you feel comfortable, just raising your hand and then just say it out loud.
I think to tackle that, you can actually do research. You can find out, educate yourself on, because there are programs out there. It's just sometimes people stop if they don't automatically, see it. But I think it's more so, finding those places that will fund you, or kind of connecting with people who, do have a business. I think that'll be one way to tackle that.
And I definitely agree with you on that. I think what's funny about that is the research is definitely needed, but I think also learning how to qualify for those programs once you find them, right? Yeah. I think a lot of times one of the best lines I heard from a venture capitalist was that if you want to grow your business, you can't keep on running it. You can't keep on running it like a mom and pop shop, right? So if you have money coming in, reporting it, doing your taxes, things of that nature, to keeping your record straight, so that when you are looking to grow your business, you have the right paperwork to bring to these programs. Any other solutions or ideas?
So just
I would like to piggyback off of that, Randy. I create like a time chart for my client, so they can block out times and space, how they're spending their time, and they have to really put how they really spend their time, and then we rework it to include how you're going to spend your time on your business. And education is so big. Like, out of all the things I do, education is really like the core. Getting the education, spending the time learning everything you need to know, because there's a wealth of information. So I wanted to piggyback off of that, how you're spending your time educating yourself about the business, systems, checks and balances, operations. Your systems will really sustain you over time. Continue reworking them, streamlining, and just really going at it. But every day of every moment, so to speak, really you're in that mind frame of building your company. I was thinking more so about the other community, not the business owners.
I'm multitasking here, so but yeah, so like I put it in and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's what you meant. But go ahead.
So what we'll do is, because we have a lot of amazing questions. So what we'll do is we'll have 3 people respond. So we have 2. Is there anybody else that want to say anything about the lack of funding? All right. So we're gonna move on to the next one. But one thing I also want to say is, instead of doing what's that thing that was really hot over the last few months, the flower. I don't know if anybody's heard about that, where you put $100 in, you bring 2 people.
Yes, that it's I don't want to call it a pyramid
The
scheme.
blessing loom.
Yeah, the blessing. So I had like about 40 different people hit me up about that. And I'm just like, well, if we actually took that same money and put it towards, since Danielle asked the question, gave it to Danielle, invested in Danielle to support her business, because we could always buy Black, but at some point we need to start investing Black as well. One of the reasons why I started this company was because I would go to pitch events, and other ethnic groups would be talking about their companies, and to be quite honest, a lot of them sucked. But the one key thing I always kept on hearing them say was that, oh, I would raise money through friends and family. And we're not even talking about, 5,000, we're talking about 200,000, 500,000. And I look at stuff like the Blessing Loom and how much money was being, accumulated through this program. And I'm just like, well, if we took this same concept and just said, here, you know what, Danielle, here's 100,000. We have 10% of your company. We're going to support it. We're going to build it X, Y, and Z. So those are things that I just wanted to add in before we move on to the next one. Tanine, I'm going to pick your question. The biggest deficit I see in the community is depending the funding fairly in low. I'm sorry.
So
Tanine, can you?
Dispensing, like.
Oh, dispensing. Okay.
I'm sorry.
The biggest deficit I see in the community is dispensing the funding in fairly in low SES communities, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's tackle this issue. How do we go about doing that?
So there's 2 things. We do have the resources. I'm very aware of the resources. But the other component is changing the mentality of the people in the community to bring them into that awareness. So that's the other barrier. Like, this is available to you, but when you've been living a certain way for so long, you're not open to receiving the information that can really help you. So it's like changing the mentality, but also back to basics. I think, like, each one teach one, like taking that one person by the hand and really grooming them. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes investment. You may not be able to get a group of people together, but that one person that you can make a change in, it's like, go for it, because they're going to take that information and pass it on to someone else. That's just my thought about it.
No, you're 100% right. I feel like once you set an example, so like when you try to start a large group, it does essentially start with that one person, because in our community, especially in our community, it's prove me, prove you're right? So you can be the smartest person in the room, get the greatest idea in the world, but until they visually see your idea working, 9 out of 10 times they're not going to jump on board as easily as you would like them to. So you're 100% right. Anybody else wants to add in? And please, everybody that's online right now, feel free to jump in and participate. This is what this is all about. It's leveraging the expertise within this room to give answers that, for problems that have been plaguing our community for a very long time. So anybody else want to touch on Tanine's issue? Because I don't want to do all the talking today. Okay, so I'm going to move on unless somebody has anything else they want to say. All right, so let me give you an idea of what I'm looking for, right? So here's something this is an issue that I had within my group. Looking to invest in a different city that I have no knowledge in, right? So what I did was I put it out there in my collective, right? So I was looking at getting involved in Baltimore. Never really been to Baltimore. Yeah, I passed through, but I had no prior knowledge of what the real estate game looked like. I just know that you could buy houses dirt cheap. So I put the question into my group, and you know, maybe like a day later, had people give me feedback, insight, and input, connecting me with real estate agents over there, connecting me with developers, things like that. So now, right now, I don't have to know anything. I have the resources there to get it done. I know what I want to get done, and I know, and I have the resources to get this done. So that's what this is all about. So the questions that are being asked in this group, even if you feel like, you know, you don't have a full head-on knowledge about it, I'm sure we've experienced some of the stuff that we're talking about. So just give us your insight. All right. Let's talk about lack of longevity when it comes to financial goals. This is from Zethia. So Zethia, can you please touch on that?
Yeah, so I was basically saying that you know, when we can make the money, we have the economic power, but we don't invest in ourselves long term. You know, I feel like it's a lack of long term goals. It's like I feel like we're, as you know, people of color, we focus on the now. Where can we go now? Where can we spend it on now?
Yeah.
Besides looking to the future for your, you know, and I'm just saying, not just for yourself, but for your family, for your children, so they can have it better, so they can, you know, go farther than you did. So I think that's the main source. It's more about spending, not about saving, and not about investing. But it's just, when you get $1, you spend it, you know. So
100% agree with you. So let's touch on it. Let's talk about that. What are some of the things that we can do to change that, like the way we operate when it comes to money? Go ahead.
I think one thing would be, like, I know for myself, you know, when I do get like a paycheck, you know, I invest in myself. And when I say invest in myself, I mean my savings account, you know, or I look further into that, you know, what else can I do? You know, looking into getting a Vanguard account. How else can I capitalize off of my money, you know, rather than spending it? So I think for me, the main thing for me is just educating yourself about finances, because a lot of times they don't teach that in school. You know, that's not the number one thing that's not a topic, you know, when you go to the public schools, or, you know, and, you know, for the Black community, we have so much economic power, but it's portrayed in a way like we don't. And I think that's a big, you know, we need to know our power and what it is we truly have. So I think educating yourself on finances is a big, you know, factor.
100% agree with you. Does anybody else want to touch on that before I say anything about it?
Yeah, I want to add to that is, you know, what's interesting is even the relationship that we have around talking about money too. And I know I saw some people put, you know, about like open conversation and generational wealth, but even that conversation, are you talking to your peers and your community about what you're doing with your finances? I know that in the last few years, my conversations with my friends have completely changed, because I got into really trying to understand how I'm investing, putting together a plan. And those were conversations I was actually sharing with my friends. I remember at one point I never even asked my peers what they were making, right? Like, it's just like sometimes this hesitation of talking about money, it's a lot of shame around money, or like whatever your personal relationship is with money. But it really honestly starts too with, like, once you're at a phase where you're researching and learning and educating yourself, like, are you now open to having those conversations and being honest about your finances with the people around you? Because that's really how you actually go back into investing into the community as well, the people around you having these conversations.
I just wanted to piggyback and say that off of you, Danielle, that for me, I think it comes down to exposure. And that exposure is kind of like talking with your friends about how much they make, what it is that they do with their money. But for me, like, I'm from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and it's a pretty mixed, city, but a lot of people stay there. Like I have friends who are like, my grandmother, my great grandmother, everybody is from downtown. And I'm like, what? Like, you never left Elizabeth. Why do you want to just stay in Elizabeth? Like, I love Elizabeth, but the world is so big. So I feel like if we have people that are willing to leave the community and come back and then expose people in the community of other things, of other ways of living, then I feel like it would inspire them to be like, oh, wow, I want a house in Maryland, or I want to travel here. I want to do that. There's more than just being where I'm from. And I think that's important too.
I wanted to hop on what Bianca and Danielle said. I know that sometimes I have a issue with exposure because I think sometimes like we try to have conversations with our peers and like they're kind of hesitant to kind of explore that. Like for example, even the idea of sharing your salary. When I actually had an ex-boyfriend that told me to ask my coworkers how much money they make, I'm like, that is so rude. I would never ask that of somebody. But I was hesitant at first, and then after I did it, I realized I was getting paid severely less than a lot of my other coworkers, and I never not negotiated a contract ever again. So I just think that it all kind of ties into like longevity. Somebody had brought that question up, and how it's important to have these conversations with our community, like, and stop the stigma around this weird, like how we feel maybe shame around money or whatever.
Hi, how are you, everyone? Good afternoon. The exposure is so important. I think we should start that exposure at an early age with the children. Financial literacy. We're not being taught that at home. We're waiting until they get older, and it's a problem. There are other cultures that are exposing their children to it very young. I'm to my grandchildren, my daughter, telling her, we've got to get these children into saving, investing. I told you should invest in some stocks right now, even if it's mutual funds, do something. They're young enough now that they can start. Every penny that they get, save. Well, my granddaughter, she saves like crazy. She squeezes the head off of a nickel, and they're screaming, let me go, let me go. I tease her about it, but it's great. It's great. She does not like to spend her money. And I said, that's great. So my daughter put a challenge to them. She says, all of the money that you guys get, you save it, give it to me. And at the end of the 4 years, and when you graduate high school, I will match it. I said, that's a great goal to aim for. So we have to start this investing young, teaching our children, so that it'll be a way of life for them. And when they grow up, they will have something instead of debts being passed down from their parents. So I'm really big on investing, and I learned late, but however, I have done it. Investing into stocks and things like that. That's what I have to say about it. But Randy, for all of this information, is awesome.
Lynn, I'm sorry. I definitely appreciate you because you took the words right out of my mouth. I think starting young, right? Because I mean, us growing up, I remember it was, you get a good job, go to school, go to college, get a good job, work there for 30, 40 years and then retire. And we have to shift the mindset of our kids, because that's where it starts, right? Giving them the power to believe that they're more than what their surrounding areas tell them they are. And life insurance, like that's simple, right? It's like that is one of the fastest, I'm not saying fastest, but one of the best ways to have wealth, right? Instead of having GoFundMe's and things of that nature, have $100,000 life insurance policy, and then whoever the beneficiary is can then take whatever's left and invest it, right? My son graduated from high school. I picked him up a property. You know what I mean? That we have to start thinking differently in order to shift the next generation going forward. So this next question, I really love it because it kind of falls in line with BPMG and what we're doing. And so this is something that I really want everybody to participate in and focus on how do we make it come to fruition, right? So Nakia says, not building enough sustainable businesses in our community, such as grocery stores and laundromats, right? And during COVID, we saw that grocery stores was an essential business. This is something that has to stay open, that's constantly getting money. In our communities, what do we have? We have Target and we have big name brands. And then even the small little Asian fruit stands are still generating money. How do we bring this to fruition? How do we make this happen within our communities? And so we can focus on like making a grocery store happen. So I'd love to hear what ideas people can bring to the table on this one.
So is it how do we envision opening up a grocery store in our community?
Correct.
I think you just actually gave me a vision by asking the question, because you highlighted that it is essential, and I'm like, wow, he's right, that is essential. You don't really know it's essential because we get kind of laxed until we really need products, until we really need like inventory that we use every day. So actually posing the question, it gave me a vision like, okay, who can I invest with, and where would this grocery store be, and how would we run it? And I just actually saw the grocery store, like it's neat, it's organized for one, but we're actually selling products to our people. Not that other people of the races can't become our customers, but it's really for us. That's what popped up in my spirit, like automatically.
No, definitely. Go ahead.
And I think, just piggybacking off of what everyone said, it's all about exposure. It's all about having that conversation, because if you think about it, even with the beauty supply stores, it's like, maybe under 5% Black owned, but we are the main customers. We're giving that it goes back to our economic power. We have the power, and we're giving it to the other people in our neighborhoods who, after they close the store, they go to their neighborhood. So it's all about keeping that power within our own community. And I think it's all about, nowadays you have social media, you have so many platforms that you can get the message across. You have Be Well, things like this that would definitely get people of color involved and get the conversation started. I think that's the first important thing, because like I said, it all goes back. We have so much economic power. It's just realizing it. And I feel like one of the main things is the beauty supply store, because we, so many of us go there and we give our money to, people who are not of our ethnic background, which if we did have somebody and supported somebody within that business, I think it would be very successful, because we have, so few of those. So I think it's just about having that conversation, and the exposure.
And it's funny that you talk about essential businesses, because like if you said, oh, what if you want to start a coffee shop, or if you want to start, a wellness center, like what would that be? And I'd be like, oh, you know what, I could do this, but then I was thinking, I'm like, wait, how do I start a grocery store? Like, is it the same process? Like, I never even thought about that. And it made me think of, there's a series on Netflix, and I can't remember the name of the series, but Killer Mike. It was a Killer Mike series, and he did the one episode that was like, he spent, I want to say 24 hours or 48 hours only buying Black. And like literally researching down to, if I'm going to walk into this grocery store, not only am I just trying to buy food that says it's Black owned, but is it being sourced from Black farmers? And he got to the point where by the end of the night, he was hungry, on a bench, and cold. And he was like, this is ridiculous.
My gosh.
It was like insane. And it really made me think about that too. Like even just how it trickles all the way down to the very, very like fine source of like ownership, like Black part. And that, I mean, not to keep, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug, but that's one of the reasons why part of our workshops later for nutritional is that we source out 2 Black farmers to come in and talk about like, how do you grow your own produce? Because it was this idea of like, yeah, like we can buy Black, but also like where are you tapping into these other things that are essential? And I don't know either. Like I'm still learning this. So it's an interesting concept.
So one thing we have to realize, right? We don't always have to have what a Pathmark has, right? Starting off small. So there are Black farmers. One of the businesses that we're invested in, she makes it her duty to buy eggs from a Black farmer for her bakery. right? So we don't have to have everything that a Target has, everything that a Pathmark has. It's sourcing those Black farmers, and we start off with the grocery store with vegetables and fruits and things of that nature, dairy products. There's a Black-owned toilet paper brand based out of Jersey. We could provide supplies like that. We have the resources to fill up a Black supermarket on our own. It's just, are you willing to do the research? Are you willing to connect with people? Are those people willing to connect with you and basically eliminate ego and emotions from doing business with each other and just getting the job done? So sometimes we want to start off here, but we need to start off, between the bottom and the middle. Like, realize that we try and jump here, we're always going to get discouraged, because if we're here and then we're looking like, well, we need $1 million to start a grocery store, where you could just rent out a small space for $6,000, like Tanine said, have it nice and neat, have all the product, the vegetables, fruits accessible, and then build from there and expand as you grow and as people supporting you. So those are things that we need to think about. And I just want to touch on something that I want to say, Zethia, I believe she was talking about the hair business, and I don't have hair, as you can see, but there is a 16-year-old that opened up her own beauty supply store right around the corner from me. She's on Church Avenue and somewhere on 32nd Street, but she's 16 years old. You know what I mean? So one, I'm proud of the fact that somebody who's that age had the foresight to just go ahead and build. She realized from young that she wasn't going to be anybody's worker, so I respect it. Two, her parents, or she had a mentor somewhere that encouraged her to build her own. So if that could be done in our community right here, and then she opened it during COVID, taking a risk and everything like that, we can get it done. All we have to do is, like I said, eliminate ego and emotion. Those are the two things that constantly held us back from growing and building. Because honestly and truthfully, when we had less, when we were enslaved, so to speak, we were doing a whole lot more. Black Wall Street was done during a time where it was illegal for us to know how to read and do math. So if we can do this back then, we can definitely do it right now. It's just about us actually doing it. So I know it's 1:49, so I don't know if we could do another one or.
Yeah, you have about 5 more minutes.
Okay, so let me see. Let's see what's all these messages coming up. Okay, so I like this one. So Bianca said, lack of opportunities to make more than minimum wage, or resources to show people how to be creative and start a business of their own. Let's jump on that. How do we get out of that cycle of minimum wage jobs or just, like I said, being creative and starting our own?
Well, for me, one of the things that really popped out during COVID was e-commerce. And there's so many resources online, like, okay, maybe you may not have a laptop, but everybody's on Facebook, so you can use your cell phone, and you could go on YouTube and you can look at these videos that show you, how to build a website and like do drop shipping and just other different methods where you don't even need to have product. And if it's something that interests me, like zodiac signs, I can have a shop that's based on astrology necklaces that say Sagittarius. It's Sagittarius season, here's a sale for that, So I just feel like people should just kind of like start with what their interests are and just kind of see, especially with social media, that there's so many creative ways of making money. And then once that business starts to grow, then obviously they're going to have to do like, the tax stuff and make sure, they get the LLCs and stuff. But like you said, don't start way at the major corporation, but start with where your interests are. And I think that that's definitely a way that Black people can get out of this box, because we create all the trends on social media.
Thank you on that one.
Powerful. Yeah, I agree with that. Start where you are. I had a coaching session yesterday. It was a business coaching session, and we started with her why, because it's like, if you're starting something, why are you starting this, and will it be sustained over time? Are you really interested in this, and is it just for the money? Just asking all the right questions, but starting somewhere and having an interest. So I really like what Bianca said, like, what are your interests? And just having those conversations with yourself, with your friends, like, what am I really interested? What makes me tick? Like, what will make me stay up all night?
Mm-hmm.
This time, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm frustrated, I want to go hang out. But this is so important to me that I'm going to invest my time, my energy, my effort, and get it done. It's that thing. And starting where you are, you know?
100%, 100%. So I feel like when you have a passion about something, it's no longer work, and it allows you, like you said, to long nights without getting paid, days when you're discouraged and you quit, but then you come back to it, um, failing over and over again, and then it's like, you know what, picking yourself back up. When you're doing something just for money, 9 out of 10 times you're gonna keep on switching. You keep on rotating. Okay, this idea was trash. Throw it out. Throw it out. But when you have a passion about something and you're determined, it first of all, one, it keeps you going, and two, it draws people to you, right? So, and that's essential to growing anything. Being able to have people come to you and ask to help you is trust me, it means 100 times more to your business than somebody just giving you money. So, like I said, I know we're about out of time, and I want to thank all you ladies for participating today. I don't know if it was posted in the on the flyer, but for all participants today, BPMG is going to give a month's free membership to those who might be interested. And we do have a level that's free too, if you want to just see it and be a part of it and just get the energy around it. But yeah, so we are offering a free about 1 month's free membership to all those who want to participate and get some more information.
And everyone, what we do after our events is we send an attendee packet. So it has all of the contact information of all our presenters, plus the offers that they are offering. So you will get that in the next, anywhere between 2 to 3 days after the event. But Randy, for now, if you want to just drop in your contact so people can screenshot it or copy it. And if you happen to miss it, you will definitely get that in the next few days as well. I just really want to say thank you for this conversation. As always, like when we have these events, it leads into like the question of like, okay, well, how do we continue this conversation? Like what happens now that we have this space? And that's something that we on our end is still trying to figure out too, because these are important conversations and we don't just want to have these one-off moments, but actually like make tangible actions and steps towards it. So we welcome any feedback and ideas on, if you want to reach out to Randy or myself or Nadine, just in terms of how we can continue something like this and what the next steps are. We are always looking to collaborate and expand as always. So, but I just want to say thank you again